What's up? Yeah, this is, okay, this is muted. And now, I didn't put sound here. I'm so at this thing. Can I? Okay. Very good. Uh, what's up? I don't know. Today, today, we have nothing. No, sorry. We have quite a lot, I think, actually. So suddenly, I think a lot of stuff has been become a possibility in terms of stuff that has happened. I wouldn't say exactly recently. I don't think it's a recent events what I have to talk about today. But yeah, stuff. Anyways, why don't we fucking switch scenes, or rather, what are we doing here? Um, Yeah, I'm trying to not die. That's what's actually going on. Um, is everything set? Yeah, right. Yeah, that's that's done. Ah, no, wait. I cannot see the mic from here. Okay. I think I don't know. I think it's useful to say. I mean, at the very least, as a person who tries to do this in any way in which it might at least be, even if not done in the best way possible, we have. I don't know. It's something related to, yeah, in some cases you have a possibility, you have the possibility of doing stuff in a way in which it's cool to be even, I don't know, not not to say better, but it's cool to be improved upon. Yeah, that's a reality. That's a correct statement, I guess. But besides that, there is also another degree of, okay, we get to have, for us, no issue at all in performing the part that we can, or at least that I personally can, well enough. So yeah, in this case, it's good to try and actually pay attention to the volume level. I think it's not so hard to do that well. I guess I don't know. It's like an overcomplicated explanation for, yeah. Actually, watching that, what is it? OBS audio meter. Yeah, that audio percentages allow for everything else to go better. So yeah, trying to just do that at the very least well enough. So yeah. Anyway, good morning. I guess it has been quite a while. I don't know. It has been, at the very least, it has been quite a quick week. I guess. I don't know. We are already on fucking Friday, brother. What a week, man. And we didn't even have when was it, on Wednesday, I think it was. We didn't even have a stream anyway, so that's also another story. But yeah, here we are now, and that's good enough. That's sufficiently. I forgot I had to try and save the page of the Mahabharata. I forgot 2 times in a row. I You know what? You know what? Time is precious. You shouldn't waste it. Anyways, I will try to write it down before I end up forgetting. Um, no, I have to open the. I can't. Okay, I can't open the whole PDF. It's like incredibly complicated to do that. It will take me, I don't know, 5 minutes, 10 to do. So at the very least, I will save on the last canto that we draw. The same thing, but cheaper. Something along those lines. Also, I don't have the phone with do I? It will be fucking loud if anything makes noise. Shut up. Thank you. I don't know. I think we don't really talk about those sort of decisions, but it has become quite a habit of mine to finally go back and have notification sound on, I think it's quite sad to some degree to live a life in always muted or just vibrator mode, nothing else. Only vibrate if there is a notification. I think I don't know. I I I can I can try to say it in a way in which it sounds good in terms of yeah. We have so many other noises happening in life that we deserve to have also this tiny noise that can come and not even interrupt our existence, just distract us for a millisecond and make us pay attention in other thing. Maybe something important even, depending on how you live your life. Getting a message or getting anything that might trigger a notification in your phone might as well be something that you need to actually pay attention to. So yeah, it's a right to do that, I will say. Unavoidably, yeah, we live in a world in which we have so much noise. It's an unavoidable reality. We have quite a lot of noisiness always around us. I think it that I don't know if there is anything sad compared to previous times. It is the fact that yeah, we have adapted quite a lot to this invention of endless noise. I think it has become quite a norm in almost all current cultures that get to talk within themselves, like part of the massification of everything, I guess, internet, electricity, whatever, all of that stuff brings like a subtle degree of noise always existing. And I don't think it's exactly bad, but yeah, it's also good to have some degree of silence. And that's why I don't really know if the point is being made in terms of, oh, yeah, yeah. I feel like it would be a very good idea to have the possibility of just, you know, sitting here, not having to worry about any other interference from outside. Because, yeah, that noise that might be made by a telephone or anything like that would be bad. It's like when you go to a movie and you need to turn off your phone, something like that. That sort of sentiment, I guess, is to some degree understandable, to some other also not truly. I don't think it's acceptable. On the contrary, I think it is quite an integrated part of our present life. But it's more along the lines of yeah, we don't have the obligation to just have an easy time in regards to all of that. We give in quite a lot to the reality of yeah, yeah, we are here we are. We don't truly have anything to worry about. So let's only in these very calm moments of existence or of passing by the time or I don't think it's even properly say relaxing. You're not even relaxing when you have that sort of noise present. It's when I can handle that level of minimal stress, that attention that always needs to be firing, that's also something weird. I mean, you say we like to have notifications on and whatnot, and I think something funny is there is always a constant need to almost silence those noises once they happen in any public display. It's like, yeah, I get to have that right, but in the moment in which I have to actually experience the freedom of making that noise, I feel almost an unconscious degree of discomfort in which I need to silence all of that. And I don't know, it's acceptable. It makes sense. I wouldn't exactly be capable of saying if it is something good or if it is something bad, but yeah, my point was I am slowly trying to get back to having it on. I think, if nothing else, it's it's a good permit to give oneself, I guess. It's, I think, this, at least from a personal stance, there are many things that have a sort of value in our existence, and there are many other things that might also be not just valuable because of themselves, but because of what they might mean, as in what could happen from other stuff, And I think it's quite a correct notion, probably, to try to be aware about. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Maybe I get a phone call and I need to fucking hear that. Maybe I get some sort of actual event that requires my attention out of nowhere. And at the very least, I would like to be capable of seeing it, of having the possibility of saying, yeah, I was made aware of it, and it was my conscious choice to not experience that, to not go through that, yeah. And I don't know. I think it's just part of that process, part of letting that sort of stuff be. Yeah. Now, uh, noise is more present in life. I mean, I don't know. To some degree, also, it's like the cult of silence, and it also becomes too much of a. I think, yeah, not something that I see, for example, when I talk about, or when I have to think, sorry, about sen- sanctification? Is it centri centrifugation? I think it is something along those lines. When people slowly get older, when societies as a whole grow a little bit older, that concept in which we basically change our customs, something that happens that is the staple of this newest um, generations of older people, let's say, is the abundance of silence as a proper sign, show of, yeah, here we have older people. Here are the places in which the third age resides. That sort of stuff happens supposedly to a normal rate almost everywhere. It's a common phenomena, event, something like that. And I see it, I understand that. I get that it happens, yeah. But besides that, just being a common thing, when I have to face it, I think it's having silence doesn't really add that much. You don't really become a better person just because you can have silence, or you don't really function all that much more if you have no disruptions in your surrounding noise creating fields, let's say. Not because in I don't know, 5 out of the 7 days of your week, you have almost no distortions or no annoyances in your auditory life. You will have a 90% better existence. It's just you become acceptant of having no noise, and you become almost obsessed with that nothingness. It's this weird idea of when I am in silence, I don't really get to sit with my ideas themselves. I get to sit with the silence. I get to obsess with the silence. I get to see how silent everything is, and enjoy the absence of other stuff. That sort of silence is what I see happens more in those sort of areas, in those sort of groups of people, I guess. God, try to talk out this lack of noise as a beneficial thing. And I don't truly have the capacity to say, oh, yeah, yeah, that's something so good. That's something so wonderful for our being. I guess unavoidably the only proper constraint is always, yeah, if I have noise that is literally hurting, I don't know, any of my life cycles, I am going to be upset and I will need to change that. But having music playing in the background, having a radio playing in the background, having, I don't know, a TV, having anything at all playing in the background is good. It's or not that. Oh yeah, I need to have that. I need to not have my own thoughts. I need to have the noise of something else invading and occupying my existence. No, 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 no. It's just I can allow myself to have interferences from outside because even with them I know that I can do my own stuff, I don't need to concentrate so hard in thinking. It's a part of me that I can do correctly to a good enough degree almost in any kind of condition. I guess it's the act itself of thinking doesn't require so many specific parts to be present for that to exist. And I think it becomes quite an exception of, or an acceptance of, yeah, we don't actually need to have so much silence. But since the goal becomes to have a little bit less noise, we can utilize that to almost subdue everything else around us to enforce this lack of life. I remember I I think I don't know, it's a culturally complex idea because it is connected with way too many things that one of how in different cultures noise represents other stuff. It's good to have a noise, for example, in a society or in a culture in which you are more connected to the nature, because at the end of the day, there is no way for you to realize that you are still living in a good place than if there is constant background noise happening from the rest of your environment. That concept of, and also in those same societies, what got to happen was silence didn't signify something good. Silence signified that something incredibly bad was going to happen. If, I don't know, if you lived in the middle of a jungle and out of nowhere that whole thing went silent, you knew that something was happening inside of that place. That same thing I think applies here. I find it useful to have noise. I like having noise. Not that I cannot rest if I have silence, but I think it's sort of damaging to be so obsessed with that sort of silence. And I mean, even then, it at this point in time, we already even know stuff of the sorts of, oh yeah, and if you try to obsess too much over silence, the moment in which you are confronted by absolute silence, you will end up finding out that actually you cannot carry out as properly as you thought that you were going to be capable of, because what you will experience will be something more affected by your inner sensations, and then what becomes your internal noises. I don't remember exactly the term of the biological noises that we are always making inside of our own body, which we become more receptive of once the rest of the noise from the outside get silenced to some degree. This idea of, I think I have at this point already mentioned it a handful of times. This the so-called sixth sense, the interoception, interacting with the abundance of a lack of any other noise allows for the human mind to focus itself then on all the other noises that we always end up filtering in our normal existences that are related to the human body which we have. Those things are what start to occupy the first place once you have proper silence. And even then, once again, it's impossible to get rid of them. Even deaf people hear that because it's more related to those sensations, even those. I wouldn't know if the proper saying is hallucinations or something along those lines of stuff that you will always hear, even if you are not all that aware or that close to it. Like, oh yeah, some days I can hear my muscles as I am incredibly tired, and when I go to take a nap, I can slowly hear myself relax as I am starting to fall asleep. That sort of sensation that you have, that you know is happening inside of the rest of your body, even if you're not there, unavoidably, you don't have your ear next to your, I don't know, to your arms or to your legs, if you have walked a lot, if you have moved a lot of weight or anything like that, you don't feel that in in your ears directly. You know that you are hearing that, but it's mostly the sensation that you can't even understand just as a noise in its most basic form. And all of that is always present. It's unavoidable. It's, I guess, the human mind probably in an even harder analysis, it might not be capable of realizing that, yeah, we cannot have proper silence. Silence itself is an unreachable thing, I guess. Not even if you go deaf for something like, oh yeah, you're in the middle of a war and somebody throws a bomb at you and you, out of nowhere, start only hearing a beeping noise, an incredibly loud beeping noise that never again ends. Even then, I think it's an obvious enough realization that, yeah, you are still hearing at least one thing, one incredibly loud noise that overlaps everything else, but you're still hearing. You have something that you're hearing. Maybe that overwhelms all the other noises in your audible spectrum, yeah. But even then, you're still being subjected to at least one thing to which you pay attention to. So yeah, it's I don't know, it's complicated, but the point that I was trying to go for was, yeah, and I think it's normal that we are to some degree separated from everything that has to deal with, yeah, silence and not having all that many, at least personally, as I was trying to say, I think it's good to be separated from, yeah, this unavoidable necessity of a silence that always allows us to never worry about the rest of the stuff, so to speak, the other things that happen. It's good to have all that noise because even with all of that, we are capable of properly enough enjoying what happens in life itself. I think I can actually like it. I can state that I am comfortable enough with all of that other noise. I think it's good. And yeah, that's that was my point. I guess I don't remember exactly where that came from, but yeah, um, I think I like it. I think I like that, and I have been happy with having noise happening around me, even if unavoidably it to some degree it hurts us. I guess sadly, yeah, we having a proper balance on all of that is incredibly hard to begin with anything. So while on one hand we can say that it's good to not have silence itself, on the other one we end up overwhelming ourselves. I think, yeah, I don't know. Give me a second. I think that's something that has been happening quite a lot, or that I have started to finally realize properly has been how much we become acceptant of things that constrict us in different senses, I guess. But we just surrender ourselves to all of that stuff for any kind of reason, not for any particular one. It's just something that we see and we think is good or normal to have. And sadly, all of those things which we might accept, like, yeah, here, you don't need to have silence in your life. Then you say, okay, I can have noise. But suddenly we end up forgetting that kind of you also need to have a minimal balance in the regards to all of that. You should try to not have as many loud noises. Unavoidably, there is a limit in which, or until which, you can have noises happening constantly around you. But after that limit, you're literally hurting your own health because you are having way too many of those things that are not beneficial for you. All of that stuff is something that, because we already said, no, yeah, I don't need to have silence, we have a harder time understanding and integrating in the rest of our life. It's like, wow, you're telling me that I don't need to have silence? So that means that I can probably have, I don't know, loud music playing the whole day. Besides the, I guess, you might be the most perfect person to be capable of getting music to be as loud as you want without actually hurting yourself in terms of hearing loss. Okay, you don't have that issue. What will still happen, anyways, is you will suffer from other consequences on your health. You will get, I think it was, I remember having seen so far stuff that is correlated to muscle loss, to the way in which stuff, even like the heart rate, is associated to noise and such. All of those things get modified. Even if you are not suffering from a hear loss due to the noise that you're hearing, it can still affect you negatively if it is consistent or loud enough. So yeah, it's a hard concept to properly get. Yeah, we need to have a constant input of thing happening around us, but at the same time, we don't actually have an obligation to have, I don't know, uh, what's the another exposition to noise at all times. The proper dose is a tiny one. It's not a huge package or a lot of noise throughout the day. That balance is a lot harder, but I guess at least the point itself is in in this whole way of analysis of thesis, antithesis, and synthesis. The proper point still remains in that even if we don't get to have no or too much noise, we have a proper amount. And in that whole time, it is possible to get still many other things done. Even if in some way, what we are doing actually, when we have noise existing in our life, we are not actually worrying ourselves about anything particularly or trying to pay attention to what we are listening in any kind of way. At the very least, what we get to do is to find ourselves thinking about other stuff, to find ourselves worrying about other stuff, and to find our minds in different places and positions than what is the norm. That's to some degree a beginning of a good thing, and that's nice. The problem becomes how to reach that, I guess, if we have never gotten accustomed to doing that. But in the end, nonetheless, what gets to happen is it's something doable and it's something that we can actually utilize to our favor, I guess. It's it's not such a, oh yeah, we we as a humanity are in the most noisy era ever created. So far, everywhere in the world, everything has become louder. Maybe, yes. To some degree, yes, actually. But also, in what matters is, even then, it doesn't mean that the world is going to collapse because we have become a louder species, I guess. Everything else is also, to some degree, changing. The whole world is changing. So, with this other tiny thing to take into account, we just get to worry about more about the world itself, I guess. That will be a proper way to conclude anything. That, yeah, now the human is also made aware of the existence of noise in a non-restrictive manner like before, or non-shallow manner like before, I guess. I guess that's the proper way of saying that. But yeah, anyway, completely anyway. That's that's what I was thinking about. I don't know exactly if it was the most recent thing that I was thinking about. Just one of the many things, I guess. I guess, yeah, to some degree, yeah, I can conclude it with this. It happens just because I have heard about it way too much, I guess. It's quite a normal complaint to see and to read that, yeah, either we have way too much or way too little noise. And I don't know. I think unavoidably, as always, there are better things to worry about. And even then, even when I don't know, you are living close to a construction. Oh my god, what an annoying bunch of people. Yeah, I mean, perhaps they are annoying. Okay, basic statement. Wow, constant, intense, what is high pitched noises are about surprising discovery, but the rest of the stuff, my life doesn't need to get paused just because I am trying to hear all of my own stuff and I can't, I guess. I needed to wait until that external noise stops. Not exactly. There are other things to always do. It's maybe it's from this perspective. The the proper assumption of enough possibilities makes it so that even in a noise crowded universe, reality, present, present day, we can still take choices to not make it be something so overwhelming when those same external noises get to play a role in our own existences. So yeah, I don't know. I am happy with that. Basically, I guess at least internally, I can say, yeah, noise is always out there, but it's not really my biggest focus. I don't know. For example, I think anybody who drives has that same conclusion, I guess. When once you are out there, you learn to slowly open up more your ears in terms of, yeah, you realize how much more noise you can actually capture once you are paying attention to it because you are driving in any kind of manner. And actually, that also is helpful because you realize sometimes you can hear quite a lot more than what you're actually paying attention to because you're engaged in the act of listening for possible stuff. So you're paying attention not to what you can see, but at least to what you can hear, and you can interpret in any other way. And unavoidably, you pick up hundreds of cues that you don't need to worry about. The concept of constantly sifting through the different inputs of audio signals that we get throughout the experience of driving any kind of thing itself. You don't actually worry about what you're hearing. You only worry about, I don't know, the loud motor that you hear in the distance. Maybe somebody might crash on you, so you look for half a second in your rear mirror to see if actually somebody is coming first or it is just a loud car or something of that sort. And after that, you keep going back to that um, autopilot, self-driving mode of, yeah, I can try to see what is theater noise, like I can try to pick up what is theater noise. I don't actually need to. I don't need to worry myself with that, but at least I am slowly sifting through all of it so that nothing bad gets through that. that sort of awareness is always there, it's always a possibility, and it's always something that we can access, and it's not something bad. It's that, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. You have to hear everything. You are going to lose it, man. The whole world itself as an experience will overwhelm you. We get quite connected with all of that stuff. Not constantly, I guess. If driving is not a constant in our life, it's unavoidably not an exactly constant thing. But yeah, in many other ways, it at the very least is quite present. But yeah, the point is, once again, willful exposure, getting to learn to deal with that, accepting it as an unavoidable part of our own existence and such. And yeah, I think although everything else happens out there, I am happy with the degree of noise that I get to experience throughout my life. I guess I cannot say that I am angry. Maybe, I don't know, from a more personal stance, I have always assumed that I might have lost a little bit of my hearing based on some incredibly loud experiences that I have had throughout the years. But besides that, yeah, I am happy enough that I don't actually have to worry about it. It's noisiness or not. Life is still good, I guess. That's the point itself. I am happy despite the noisiness of the world. It's I guess yeah, the proper statement would be it's it's good to know that we have all of these noises around us, even if they themselves don't change how I live the rest of my life, I guess. But yeah, yeah. I'm happy, I'm happy. That's my main point, I guess. I am happy with all of that. But yeah, um I guess that's my first point for today. Um, yeah. Also, now that I think, okay, I think a proper tradition would be to finally introduce, yeah, me saying actually full stop to my minimally signal that I am trying to say something different because to some degree it's useful to separate the stuff. I guess thinking it from the perspective of the author, I think it's good to be capable of understanding when the fact the topic itself changes. So yeah, uh, let me try to do that. Thank you very much. But I was trying to say before going into anything else, I think I don't know. I have been thinking about a lot of stuff lately, and one of them was also I remember having talked about a possible way to explain why I always feel so tired after these types of streams. It's an incredibly common event for me to feel that sort of tiredness of brain tiredness after being here for I don't know 2 hours, 3 hours talking. It's quite a common experience itself for me always. I think I almost never live here without having that sensation permeate my experience in any way. And that same thing happens also in this scenario. And I think what's interesting is also that I don't know. I feel like to some degree I tried to explain it. There is also a portion of yeah, due to how much I speak, I kinda lack oxygen. I think so. I think it's even if it is quite weird to picture somebody who literally talks so much that they slowly, I don't know, utilize way too much um, oxygen, something like that. I guess. Even if that happens, it's good. What's going on here? Nothing actually. Welcome, Daniel. Good evening. I hope you're well. What's what's going on here? not much. But yeah, I don't know. I was trying to say about. I was trying to make a point. I was just saying um, that yeah, you we all need to break. I guess that's the proper point. That's what I was trying to say. The shortest summary of that is breathe. Because yeah, I think I don't actually. I mean, in general, I don't really see people doing that. Uh, I think I think it's normal for people to not focus on that whole stuff of oh yeah, we have to meditate and we have to try to slowly calm ourselves down and all of that stuff. I don't think any of those things happen normally, and I think it's useful. I think it's useful. It's quite an interesting tool to be capable of actually getting to calm oneself through all of that. I don't know. Yeah, I remember the other day I tried to say anything about it, and the issue is I cannot identify right now if much of the effect that anything like meditation has on us is because of the placebo effect. I think the placebo effect itself is a lot heavier than what we are actually capable of realizing in many cases. But even then, meditation, breathing techniques, let's say, are useful. That's my point. And I don't know what I think. What I was trying to get with saying that is maybe it would be useful to try and have something like that here. I guess I don't know. It's just a very basic initial thought. I guess I have to try and expand more on it in any proper way. But yeah, um, I think if supposedly, yeah, yeah. I mean, supposedly, or let's say it like this, not proper breathing techniques that require you to direct your attention inwards. I think it is the term that they utilize allows you to operate your physical capacities in different ways, but those more basic sorts of breathing techniques that are less so related to the stuff that we can properly classify as meditation techniques and are just oh yeah, I don't know, anxiety reducing, uh, what is it, protocols, that sort of stuff. I think has more of an association with the placebo effect. Yeah, the Wim Hof method, for example, I know accelerates the way in which you even heat your body up. It's used. That's one of the best known, or yeah, most viral breathing techniques that are related to more meditational stuff. That one makes your body temperature way higher. So yeah, even in a sort of isolated logical scenario, it seems better to introspect even a little than not at all, I guess. No, yeah. I mean, the point itself is to do that, yeah, but to be capable of actually allowing that to happen, I guess. My, I don't know if the proper thing is to say an issue. Just the reality is, I should actually try to do that more. I probably don't do it enough. I guess I hear way too many people talk about all of that. I think it has entered a minimally good enough area in terms of the things that the masses discuss, let's say, because yeah, you hear about meditation quite a lot, but it doesn't actually happen. And the point itself is more than anything to be capable of allowing all of those things, all of those chemicals that affect you in a positive way. to start entering your body, let's say. Uh, I don't do what enough meditation, I guess. In any kind of meditation, breathing technique, I don't know. I don't. I think consciously. This part of will, not just willfully or consciously, being aware of the actions that you take in your life. I think I have a. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Enough is unavoidably a relative term, um, but it's this idea of at least I get to have a very basic level of enjoying the process of breathing correctly. In any kind of physical activity, I can automatically find myself doing it. Okay, but I am not choosing to do it outside of those situations. I guess, yeah, I have learned to breathe, I guess, through any other, yeah, any other process of my life, but not actually when I need to do it and when should be trying to pay attention to that. Also, thank you, Monarchy, for the follow. Sorry for not saying anything. But I think when it comes to choosing to do it, that's when it not only matters but also should, according to what though? No. I think it's an obvious distinction. Those moments in which you should be changing your breathing technique, like, oh yeah, you want to perform properly in any kind of physical exercise, you have to, I don't know, increase the intake of oxygen and also allow for a better output of carbon dioxide because you don't want your blood to lack oxygen because you need to actually pump your muscles with enough air so that they can function properly. All of that stuff that I guess more biological level, basic biology level of I don't think about that when I am doing it. I can accept that I just feel like I need to breathe better. Therefore, I do it. That I don't know. Animal runs. Therefore, animal has to breathe more in general. That sort of should is what I am saying happens, and what I think does not happen is the other part. The moment in which you are actually choosing to sit down and focus on any kind of breathing technique itself. That's what I'm trying to say. Lacks. I think so. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I actually don't really know that many people that pay attention to it. I feel like, yeah, yeah. Normative in that sense. Normative in that sense. In that only in the physical sense. Yeah, yeah. Will be a proper definition. Not in the more mental sense of, oh yeah, now I get to sit down and introspect. Now I get to sit down and just pay attention to how I am feeling. Many of those things of, okay, a moment just for my own observation, all of that stuff lacks. I think so. But I don't know. I also guess even then, to some degree, we end up finding all of that in other areas of life. It's like, okay, I don't get to have it directly in, I don't know, I don't have a meditation mat in which I go sit and properly meditate like a guru of sorts. I just find myself thinking about my own life when I am free in the public transport or while I am scrolling. Sometimes I disconnect my brain, I guess. I take all should claims to be normative in the moral or ethical sense, so I will assume you would think functioning optimally physically is a good of sorts. I mean, I don't. I wouldn't apply the category of good or bad to that. I guess it's normative because it is what we have learned to do. The whole side of being corrected to breathe properly. Once you are in a physical exertion scenario, you know that you should be adapting your breathing technique to allow your body to function properly. That is the normative side, but I don't think it falls under the category of good or bad. Besides, I guess, mm, not everyone thinks all claims are claims are moral. So I'm understanding if you don't think so. Yeah. I don't. I don't think should is in this case a moral statement. It's more a bio, biological sense of, yeah, you should, unless you want to collapse, you should try to physically change the way in which you are operating, the moment in which you need to do any kind of activity. That sense of should is like, I don't know, if the human wants to preserve its life, it should avoid killing itself. I don't think that is a moral sort of a statement, you know. So yeah, that same of should is what applies here. If the person wants to read, uh, link it from some sort of good it will do. No, yeah, I mean, I get it. It's an understandable assumption. I guess, in many cases, what happens, at least in what I also have read, is should is used more than anything else in that particular context of penal. Penal. I was gonna say penal. I am 2 ESL. Sorry. Judicial law. Let's say like that. And all of those other things that do not directly talk about how you need to do certain things in order to allow yourself to gain stuff, but rather, yeah, I don't know, any civil person should do stuff to comply with other things. That sort of moral should is more common, yeah. But I guess with enough patience, you slowly also get to see the other sort of should that exist out there, I guess. The other sort of usages of those words of sorts. It's personally I can say it makes things in some cases more understandable. I don't think when I had to study biology I would have understood half of it if in those cases in which should clauses are utilized only signify moral judgments of sorts. But yeah, don't worry. Anyway, just I guess personal or when thinking about someone, that's a personal uh, notepad mental that everyone gets to have about other people. I don't know. This guy might not utilize should just as a moral statement, I guess. That same type of should. In some cases, because also unavoidably, when I am trying to say, but yeah, we should try to allow ourselves to have more moments of introspection, more moments of properly thinking about, I don't know, the act of simply breathing and nothing else. All of that stuff to happen might carry, I guess, sorts of judgments of, yeah, but I guess they are not truly all that much aimed to just, oh yeah, what is good, but rather what is functional. I guess, yeah, that's my personal addition to that, I guess. I think a moral good is just be something that aligns with your values. Maybe that explains my slightly unusual position. No, yeah, I mean, yeah, that's, I guess, part of the relativism of the era. That, yeah, unavoidably, anything that can be classified as good is related not really to what anyone gets to see us as a universal good, but rather that more subjective level of, oh yeah, yeah, I have this good thing with my on my side, and if you don't have it, you are doing something wrong. Therefore, I am right. You are in the bad position. I get to do better. You don't, and someone of us needs to be corrected. Yeah, I I guess so. Unavoidably, that's in many ways how stuff works. But I don't know. I try to not. I guess yeah. I have to say sorry if I utilize good, bad too much. I am more of a usefulness type of person. Of okay, does this thing actually serve me in any kind of way? Is this useful for me? I guess the proper word would be utilitarian type of guy. Um, that sort of stuff is what I try to say when I say something is good. Something will be more useful if we get to properly or okay dedicating time to observing stuff like breathing and internally reflecting about other things gets to be a useful thing for our life because it brings positive effects to our existence, not in terms of good or bad, but rather in terms of embetterment of our own existence in itself, that sort of thing. Mm. Okay, okay, okay. Thank you. But yeah, I guess what I was trying to say, basically, just with that, was yeah. Um, and I have been trying to get that to work personally. I have been trying to find a ways to introduce that more. But once again, I don't see it happening. I don't think we talk about a lot of things that supposedly matter to us and things that have some sort of weight in our lives, but I don't really find people trying to talk at all about things of this sort. Yeah, we should try to meditate. We should try to have a little bit more of time in that chamber in which we just sit and put our mind in the outside, you know? Do you sort of hold to a pragmatic theory of truth in general? What pragmatism? I maybe you would like to clarify on that. I guess I can. If that is all the question, I most probably have to say no. I guess I am. I think pragmatics was related more than anything else with yeah this sort of the bystander gets to define. Yeah, 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 yeah. The bystander gets to define what is good and all of that. Yeah, I I can accept that as a reality, but I guess I don't know. I don't handle names properly. Sorry for that, but I guess the later development of okay, there might be a truth that we can reach. We need to actually get together and talk about stuff so that we can find a proper truth. Uh, if we stay in the level of okay, this is true enough for me, we fall in that good fallacy of justifying bad stuff. So no, I don't like pragmatism. I guess
Mr.
most
Worldwide, Mr. Real
also
Fab Dialing. Today, I just want to tell you,
que a
a
mí
mí
me
me
gusta
gusta la
la
Pepsi.
Pepsi. Thank you for milks. Welcome. Uh, good evening. Good morning. Good night. Thank you very much. Also, I have to give me like half a second so that I can write that before I forget. Um, but yeah, we are I don't know talking about pragmatism, breathing, but, but yeah, breathing and such. That's that's where we are right now. Um, four milks underscore. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, did I do it right? Yeah, I did. We are so back. Anyways, welcome. Thank you for the raid. Also, common stuff. Raiders, I hope you're having a good day. Um, welcome at Scenic Cataracts. I hope everyone had a very good stream. Thanks for everything. Please remember to what is it? It isn't sit up. What's the proper expression? Get up from your chair, stretch, all of that stuff. How I would stay if you said to stay, and if not, also thank you. That's it. I don't know. We talk about the stuff. I cannot really give you that much more context. Sorry, but yeah. Continuing, we were saying just is this pragmatism? What is this guy trying to talk about? From which point of view can I understand this person that is talking to me? I cannot tell you. I don't know that. I think I what I was trying to say, yeah, is I can try to define reality as that thing in which supposedly we can access a sort of truth. So far, we might not be capable of doing so because we have never properly tried to get to whole definitions in a deep enough level so that as of right now, we might not possess a proper truth, but at some point, supposedly, that will happen. Uh, that whole stuff of philosophy in which we keep creating more and more ideas to keep understanding the world in an even better shape, that same thing needs to keep happening so that at some point, truth itself will be reached. And which one is it going to be? I can't tell you. But yeah, that's my point of view, I guess. Not. I think it has to do with more of the what is it post struct. It comes to my mind post structuralist and such, but I think that's not right. Postmodernist, sorry. Um, I don't know which one. I think it's I guess aligned with the line of thoughts of Foucault and such. I guess that sort of people, but also I think they also ended up falling in that other category. Do you rule out any of the common theories of truth? Coherence theory, semantic theory, etc. Do I don't really. No, no, no. I guess at least okay. I understand properly enough semantic theory. I can't. I can't talk enough about other. I don't know. Theological theories or yeah, more. Yeah. Agnostic itself, all of the many, all of the many points of views and arguments that you can try to utilize to define truth and all of that, that come from the different religions and such. I also get to understand a little bit of them at least, and I can say what seems to be the most understandable thing itself is just to grab what works from those particular ways of conceiving the world, from those particular theories, and integrating them into an even bigger theory, I guess. It's, I don't know, yeah, in based on semantics, semiotics, all of that stuff. Um, the theory of, I don't think it's exactly theory of science, but the whole thing of universal grammar and such that the ling, linguistic theory tries to create all of those things to some degree, serve to explain portions of the world, but they are not complete definitions. I think so. I mean, they make sense. I understand them. I don't refute them. I don't think they get. They need to be exactly refuted, but they don't explain the wholeness of reality in terms of, oh, yeah. They possess all of that, all of the truth about the world. I don't think in that sense it works. I guess the point itself is, or to answer more clearly the question, do I rule them out? No, I don't. I just learn from them. but don't declare them as the final proper theory of truth. Let's say it like that. Do you so far? No, not really, not really. I mean, you can try to spend so far your whole life trying to understand it from the perspective of religious stuff, for example, something incredibly normal to do. Even nowadays, to dedicate your whole life to follow, to try to pursue some sort of religious enlightenment that will allow you to understand the meaning of life. Okay, you get to do that. But at the same time, what you can also do is to follow a completely reverse path by going through the scientific methods and at the same time get to a scientific discovery good enough to explain existence. Are any of those two more valid than the other one? To some degree, I guess the general consensus is science gets to be more valid because it supposedly is based on what everyone gets to say, but not having to go through the whole argument of, oh wow, yeah, we need to understand that so far science can also be flawed and scientificity and all of that. What explain existence? I guess, yeah, I don't know. Explain existence. Anything that gets to make sense out of why we are here, why life is, what is the meaning of being, that sort of questions. What reality itself gets to be defined by which point of view you are standing from. If you get to have one personal point of view from which you get to explain reality in a proper way, therefore, your final goal will also be modified, I guess. Uh, is it an isn't that presupposing a reason? I guess so, yeah. I mean, that is presupposing that it will be at some point one. If not even then, you're still assuming something and you're becoming a sort of absurdist by saying, oh no, yeah, but the intrinsic mode of being is anything goes because at a certain point, nothing gets to truly be the final answer. But I don't know. Uh, I guess that's a more complex elaboration because you also have to. Also, sorry, I didn't want to do that. I I got a tiny blog message from a fucking bot. Sorry, I misclicked literally. Uh, I it's my first day streaming. Sorry, how this one? Why are there so many options? Ah. Isn't that the presupposing, or do you mean like a casual reason? No, 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 no. Yeah, yeah. The general reason itself of, oh yeah, being tied to any other kind of explanation, either a being, either the presence of at the very least the personal self in terms of, oh yeah, my own personal life gets to be justified by this, the consensus of, okay, what is the purpose of humanity and all of that, all of those things gets to some degree explain the world. Yeah, I wouldn't be capable of saying if all of those at the same time are the best or not, but they still give a sort of explanation. And even if you assume that nothing of those might be true, you are still to some degree, that's what I was trying to say. There is still a sort of judgment made when you take the more absurdist route. It's I think it takes some time, but the realization is the moment in which you assume that absurdism is the more correct answer, you suddenly, I guess, subconsciously just make once again that statement of, okay, any kind of explanation can make it valid enough. And I guess, I don't know, I will need to revisit exactly to not fall prey of what absurdism in its most proper state declares. But I think it does to some degree justify immorality and such. And yeah, to some degree, no. unavoidably, the world is absurd, but you don't get to kill people, brother. Nobody gets to do that. There are limits. You don't get to kill people because, oh yeah, the world has no point. I can make up my point. No. Morality was invented thousands of years ago for a reason, or was finally cemented as a necessary concept for the existence of human being for a reason. Okay, I suppose if I was a random shooter and had to work on something, it sounds like maybe you're entirely married to a specific definition of truth. So it makes it hard to decipher what it means when you say something like to find out what's true. Yeah. I mean, unavoidably, it's hard. It's hard. I once again also because you ask me what is true, I can tell you what is true is what we can all agree is true right now, but at the same time, that might not be true tomorrow. So that makes itself the thing that might be true still undecipherable. It's what is proper true is not reachable. It is supposed to not be something properly reachable, I guess. So yeah, that's also my mistake when explaining. Don't worry so much. I thank you. Truth is by agreement? I guess not. Truth is supposedly by the discovery of it having the most usefulness. Once again, I'm utilitarian, so I am going to say, oh yeah, the most useful thing is the most truthful one. But how to discover which is the most useful thing without falling once again into any other sort of error of morality or consciousness or whatever is hard still. So yeah, I don't know, brother. Don't worry so much. Difficult? Don't worry. Don't worry. I I don't know. I, I I think to some degree you can ask anyone that sort of stuff, and they can probably answer it. But sorry, thank you for the compliment. That's I should say thank you. But yeah, makes sense. I don't know. It's also good evening, Hastur. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're fine. But yeah, truth as a proper thing. Hmm. Anyways, my initial proposition was we should meditate. I guess we should be capable of reaching proper understanding about the stuff. And yeah, that doesn't get to happen if, for example, you don't try to meditate. So yeah, I guess meditation. And what I was also trying to say is, and sadly, not only meditation itself is not so easily found, but yeah, I mean, okay, it should be it should always be the case, but unavoidably, if you are biased in any kind of way, you can't be only understanding the world through a tainted sort of lens through which you might not be capable of reaching a proper discovery of the world. Like, I don't know, the structure of somebody who is a schizophrenic, for example. You are capable of understanding the world through your own personal illusion of the world. Does that mean that you don't understand more and more the more you worry about it? No, you are still capable of building structures of ideas that allow you to explain the world in a way in which the rest will not say is true. But once again, if the definition of true is only subjective, there is that degree of danger of saying that an schizophrenic person might be right. So, yeah, that's a dangerous idea to play with, I guess. But yeah, supposedly, understanding equals truth. Yeah, in this case, if you are trying to understand the stuff, any of those tools should be more commonly used, I guess. more time to meditate, more time to think about the stuff that happens, more time to find yourself worrying and having in your mind things that are related to the things that you say that you care about and such. All of those instances are useful, necessary, and capable of allowing you to construct even better ideas in any kind of direction. And if those instances do not happen, unavoidably the growth of any person in terms of the conceptions that they get to have will not be furthered, I guess. I take there to showing both be subjective truths like coffee tastes nice and objective truths like the moon exists. Do you think that's misusing terms? What? You care? What? Am I not following the sentence? Did you skip a word? Uh, Misusing terms? Or do you mean literally you take there, the word there? Do you mean the word there, I guess? To read back? Probably. Understanding or truth? Yeah, it's hard to wait, you mean like both the subjective? Okay, yeah, I was for a second I forgot that we cannot make typos. Sorry. Uh, yeah, unavoidable literar. No, unavoidable literar. Yeah, if we didn't have stuff like subjective sorts of truth, we wouldn't have what is it, cognitive biases and such. We if you relinquish the possibility of saying, oh yeah, there can be subjective truths that do not exist within everyone, you will renounce the possibility of talking at all about stuff that is biased in any kind of way, either cognitive or morally or stuff of that sort. You have no biases if there is no subjective truth. But yeah, it's I don't think it's in itself bad. I guess the only thing that matters is if you are capable of defining them, if you are capable of saying, oh yeah, this is subjective truth and not objective truth. But no, it shouldn't be an issue. It shouldn't be an issue. Uh, but yeah, and I don't know. I I think that even then, the point itself of we need more instances of that meditation of sorts. We I don't know. I once again related to more significations of words. Meditation itself is highly associated to those states of trance almost in which we pay close attention to our breathing, to our third eye, to our consciousness and such. In the general association of the word, we still don't use stuff like meditation to just say, okay, I am going to go into a technique of mindfulness and just think. It's not actually going to be a transformative in that deep of a sense um, act. It's just me trying to think, not much more for a while. And yeah, that sort of event lacks the sort in which we just think out of stuff. I guess the initial action is to think. The later sort of categorization that we realize upon that action itself is subjected to the way in which we want to say it ourselves in terms of, oh yeah, I don't think I sit in my chair and meditate. I don't meditate. I sit and I I perform some mindfulness. I don't perform neither mindfulness nor meditation. I have my breathing techniques that allow me to reach a new point of wisdom and such. Mhm. It's valid, but how would you sort of spread the idea to make it something more people do? I think that a good reason is convincing, which I'm aware is not universal. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I guess to some degree, unavoidably, a good reason is useful enough. But the issue itself, I guess, always is how you propose something and make someone else have the proper interest to try it actually, and not just stay in the oh wow, this sounds like such a great idea. One day I could try it. No, 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 no. I I, I go right now. I live, and the first thing that I do is meditate. I guess on something that psychology has taught me is you can always leave it on the hand of the other person and say, "Oh yeah, yeah, you have to find it in you to actually have the will to do it." You know, no. In actuality, it also is closer to, I guess, an overwhelming enough degree of proofs of usefulness in that sense allow anyone to conclude that to not even at the very least try and see if it is not as good is a bad action because you might be losing way too much if you don't even try. Let's say, are you proposing maybe something like meditation in schools? Mm, in schools, I don't think so. I don't. I would actually go against exactly in schools. I think if anything, it's it's a good thing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. In schools specifically, it's way too complicated. We don't have it as a normal thing in our own houses, I guess. The best way, at the very least, is to start at the most minimal, easily influential place that is the family. So the first proposition will be to allow, I don't know, people of sorts, people that I know, the people that I'm close with, to understand that and to bring there the first, so to speak, candle or flame of, okay, we have to meditate a little bit. I don't know. We will try to meditate the next time that we get together. The Sunday, for example, something that might even get called sort of meditation based on the similarities that it has to the other rituals that are still called meditation is itself, for example, blessing the table, or I think it's not called like that in English, doing the prayers before eating, that sort of stuff is still a sort of meditation. You're recalling something that is of importance to you. You are paying attention to the action of doing things like that through different ways. We might as well even find that we already have stuff of sorts that works as a bare bones meditation, but even more incremented, if nothing else. Hmm. To have an impact, it has to be institutionalized somehow, or am I too cynical? No, yeah, I understand the point. Yeah, I guess the issue is I don't know how to say it without going directly at what I think is the issue, but you can reach the same thing through other medias. Let's say if you make institutions out of every concept that should matter, you might end up spreading yourself way too thin over a stuff that does not require as much actual thought as it actually does. So to speak, you're not obliged to make it such a what was I remember you used a word before. It was something like not democratized. It was something along those lines of put inside of the regime of existence that enforces it instead of just letting it be something that everyone understands as a possibility. The moment in which you make it an institution itself, in which the idea becomes more of an obligation than a necessary, willful thing performed by the humans, you end up, I think so, rather alienating more people than what is beneficial. And even if the point is to bring benefits to the humans that exist in the world, if you do it through displeasure, you might not be doing the best work that you can. The solution itself is not to institutionalize it, but rather to just integrate it in a way in which we can make it work. The institutionalization itself is an initial step, maybe, but I don't know. We don't have, for example, as a bigger sort of a area, food itself is not an institution. We have rather departments in the modernity of things like, oh yeah, fast food chains and I don't know, unhealthy food, healthy food, and whatever. But food itself is not an institution. Food itself is something that you understand you need to have. The way in which you associate to food then becomes the institutionalization and I guess individualization itself also of things and the identity that you get to have based on the food that you eat and such. But that is, more on the line of what I was saying. A problem that does not exist in terms of you are eating, you are consuming any kind of food to stay alive. No, that's a shorter, a further complication of the thing, I guess. Not truly something so much better. But yeah, I guess that. How could we truly implement it? Hmm. Or how the most effective way would be, or anything like that. It seems incredibly complex. Yeah. But the only sort of introduction or light pressure sort of that I can think of is like 30 minutes a week of meditation in schools or as homework maybe or something. It's so hard to see an implementation. Yeah, I think so. Unavoidably, it's actual implementations are quite complicated, but I guess I don't know. It's unavoidably the reality is you want to solve the issue, you have to assume that there is no other way to solve it rather than through your own actions. You have to assume that, you need to make it happen through your own efforts, and you need to make sure that your plan gets to affect enough people. And let's say it like this: if the proposition itself is not to make an institution out of it, at the very least, this whole idea of ideas are contentious, you infect enough people with that same awareness of, okay, we need to actually meditate so that others can understand it and reproduce it in their other circles, and so so much that it gets to be a normalized thing. Like I don't know, for example, the first people who got to have their phones, they normalized having phones to their surroundings, and those surroundings affected other people. And I don't know, I guess that whole idea of the transmission of stuff, we are all like just in 7 or I think 11 extractions from our groups or from our social groups and social connections. All human beings end up being connected. That same stuff happens also here. If you can transmit something properly enough, it gets to be integrated into the human discourse in general. The issue is to be capable of arguing anything like that. I mean, the proposition is simple enough. In actuality, to be capable of doing that, no, it doesn't happen. We have we see, I guess, millions of ideas exist all day, all days of existence, but I don't know, less than a handful of them gets to be certified or validated to that point. And even some valid consensus do not get to be universally accepted like that. So it's just the basic proposition is that, yeah, you share it with someone else and you expect that they also do the same, but even then, it can fail. So I don't know. Off the bat, and I'm definitely cynical. Yeah, yeah. And I think a lot of people, by like worldwide person count to people who they should count is actually quite high already. But I'm not sure how to make it higher. No, yeah, yeah. I guess once again also it depends on how you are defining meditation. If you refer only to the act of the Tibetan monks, yeah, unavoidably, no one fucking meditates like that. I cannot hold my breath for 5 minutes and then finally continue meditating. I can't do that, brother. I don't have that capacity. I haven't trained like that. I'm not bold like that, sorry. But if you get a little bit more lax, yeah, quite a lot of people in actuality meditate. Even stuff like, or easier definition, anything that allows you to go into a flow state might as well be classified as a sort of meditation. Now that you can properly utilize it or not to gain the benefits that you could also obtain through meditation itself is a wholly different matter that is not only complex itself, but also something that you need to be paying attention to actively and not something that just happens out of nowhere. What's the percentage of Indian people who meditate? I would imagine it's high. Not yeah, yeah. I guess I assume. I guess supposedly based on their culture, supposedly out of not all of them, a majority of those people meditate. Supposedly, maybe not. We are also based on their culture. We are in the Kali Yuga, and one of the consequences is that many people stop paying attention to what is the commonly held traditions. So maybe we're in a time in which even for them is it is a low tide of meditation. Yes, so I don't know. We never know, but yeah. Depending on the stance that you try to take about it, yeah, different things of that sort already exist. The issue itself is to be capable of allowing the human to make itself aware of the usefulness of that, I guess. It's, I don't know, it's, for example, something that also fails sort of on the same line is the moment in which you are eating, if you are actively paying attention to not only what you are eating, but how you are eating it, you start to even digest better the food that you are consuming. It's a whole process that gets put into motion once you are actively exerting attention into what you are doing. Awareness equals progress in many fields of the human life. And in that same case, or in that same line, this thing of meditating with intention is what matters. Mm. What do you think are the three top methods of making people aware of a new idea in general? Three? What do you want? Three? What do you want? Three? Multiplicity of them? I'm not sure I know even one. I guess, I don't know. Yeah, I guess the easiest will be by demonstration, by argumentation, and by what's the third one? What's the third one? I I should know a third one. I guess you argue about it, you see it happening. What else? Can you demonstrate to 8 billion people? No, yeah, unavoidably you can't. No human being can. Eh, but or I'm hypothetically speaking, you could be capable of. You only need a method to do it. If the point is to voice hypotheticals, but even then, I don't think. No. Being real, even if we all spoke the same language, you still need to be capable of conveying ideas even to those who do not speak any sort of language. So no, unavoidably you can't. To all human beings, you can't share stuff. You have to accept that in the way you are going to be incapable of sharing what you want. That's also why you have to assume other people are going to be interested in your idea. That whole side of you transmit something by the quality of it being shown to anyone who tries to understand it, making itself evident that they need to integrate it on their life, I guess. How do you? Yeah, I am still trying to think of a clear way, I guess. Awareness, I don't know. Warnings, probably. I mean, that falls also under the category of proof of. Oh yeah, you prove either that doing it is good or not doing it is bad. So it's all of the same. To try to understand it? No, yeah, no, no, I don't think so. Personally, I think you're doing a bad job if you stay at, oh yeah, yeah. For example, philosophy in general, if you say, oh yeah, I am only going to talk about the people that are willing to hear what I'm saying, you're doing a bad job. You're disregarding everyone who might also benefit from this. If what you are proposing is useful enough, everyone who tries to have it should be gaining something. And if you cannot make a good enough a statement of that sort, then maybe what you are saying is not useful at all. So yeah, in that same sense, it should be something that, in the best case scenario, should reach everyone. It isn't enough for an idea to reach, oh yeah, only the people who have a minimal interest, because I don't know, they know me. Let's say like this, what I was proposing before, you share the idea with the people that you know. Okay, once you did that, once they are aware of your proposition and they are capable of understanding the importance of, in this case, meditation. Next point, you go out there and talk with others. You go out there and show the rest of the world, even if it is just one person at a time, the importance of having that. I guess in that point, yeah, you start to live in the butterfly effect, and yeah, maybe after having lived your whole life and having convinced, I don't know, 150 people of the same idea, you get to go to your deathbed and look around and see, I don't know, maybe whole country convinced of something due to how, once again, ideas spread and whatnot. But no, you don't just stay in the vicinity of the commodity of those who are willing to have interest in your stuff. You also make it evident to those who don't have it at a first glance. I don't really think this though, but doesn't this sound a lot like force and convince people of what we think are good ideas? Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's the issue is, once again, you have to assume that an idea is good. I am that's why I get to shield myself behind the argument of utilitarian. I am not trying to say, oh yeah, yeah, this is better, this is more useful. That's why what you propose should be useful, not good. Useful. I say once again, sorry for mixing them, but in most cases, I am trying to say, oh yeah, this thing is good, this thing is useful. If your idea is not useful, it isn't good. That's, I guess, the association that you have to make when I say, yeah, these things are good, and only what is better is what should prevail. And it still doesn't answer particularly if it is forcing them to be convinced or not, I guess. Unavoidably, you have to have patience. Once again, you have to have patience to explain to people who are not instantly willing to understand what you are talking about. You have to be capable of telling them slowly enough all the arguments so that they can get it. I guess that's the part of being a proper uh, teacher or professor of sorts, that you can demonstrate and counter argue everything that anyone might have to say about your idea so that it can get then properly accepted. Because, yeah, what we were talking about before, you should not try to force it to happen. The same thing as making it an institution, and as the institutionalization of any idea is not useful. a proper introduction on the normal life of anyone is better. That same thing here. An idea should not be something that you force. It's something that the other person is willing to take. That's, I guess, yeah, a basis of that sort of communication and transposition of ideas and such. But yeah, I, I think so. I think the point is that, yeah, try try to meditate. Do me a favor and try to meditate. Thank you. Yeah. That's less words. Meditate, please. Thank you. Do you hold to like classic utilitarianism or rule utilitarianism? Uh, I'm a fraud, brother. I say I like utilitarian people because I understand that they also talk about the utility of stuff. I don't know. I haven't read them. I am incredibly behind in most of that stuff. I have a surface level read a lot of people. I don't actually know who are the the classics utilitarians and whatnot. I think no, yeah, I cannot really give you a name. I will only be guessing if I tell you, oh yeah, it probably comes from this guy or this other guy. I don't remember. I probably read it. I don't remember who they are. Either the classics or the rule utilitarianisms sort of authors. So yeah, I I don't know which one I am. I am a confused mess who just what is the word? A leech who utilizes categories that they do not comprehend to invade the spaces and function as someone who seems to be better than what they are. A liar who assumes a mask just to be more accepted. Yeah, that thing. Yeah. Anyway, anyway. Uh, Utilitarianism? Okay, okay. Problems with the classic one, but no worries. Appreciate it. Thank you. I will try to read it. I mean, it's not an I will try. I will get to it. But maybe in, I don't know. At this rate, probably 1 year or so. I am person. I don't talk about it. Sorry. I am reading. I'm trying to finish reading classics from the medieval times. I'm trying to trace the line. Let's say like this. Maybe if I say it like that, we don't have to spend so much time. I'm trying to trace the line to get to people like Schopenhauer and such. So I am still just in the medieval times with people like Thomas the Aquinas with his Summa Theologica. So at some point I will finish them. I will finish the who was it? It wasn't Kierkegaard, right? Kierkegaard comes afterwards, I think so. Um, Fichte, I think it is that guy that informs Schopenhauer, then Nietzsche, then at that point I finally reach modernity and post-modernity, and I get to have a little bit more of knowledge about stuff of that sort. I am actually looking forward to it, but I am also somebody who likes to be methodical about this stuff. I don't like to not understand what they are talking about because what they are proposing doesn't come from them, but rather is a reinterpretation of what somebody from the past said. So yeah, I am probably, I guess, on the eyes of somebody else, fucking losing it, doing the whole work of starting from the most basic stuff. The amount of time that I have to spend reading ancient classical times stuff, astounding, but still enjoyable, I guess. That's just how trying to read philosophy works, I guess, unavoidably. But yeah, I, my promise is at some point I will properly read utilitarianism and such. I think it's fine to read a lot of philosophy, but I think a lot of it can also be completely useless. Like reading the Stoics when you already know what Stoicism means. Yeah, yeah. So I definitely don't such like that. Yeah, 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 yeah. I think unavoidably there are some to some degree things that you end up not having to actually read. I don't know. I would have liked to not have read somebody like Popper or Kant when I had to read them even more to approve classes because their whole books have a lot of nothing. I let me try to recall. The arguments like, oh yeah, when Kant gets to try and define stuff like divinity and such, when he was in a normal book before, not trying to talk about God at all, that sort of stuff is annoying. You shouldn't read that. But at the same time, the issue of skipping through is you end up only with the assumption of what you think you are reading or what you think the author is talking about instead of knowing, okay, is this person actually saying something accurately or are they depicting their enemies or the people that they are arguing with in conversation with in a different light than what they actually are, I guess. Hmm. Popper was interesting, but I suppose if you're very, very logical, you won't get much from it. No, yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, but Popper was good, but at the same time, Popper spends a lot of time saying, "Oh yeah, this person is right, this person is wrong." I don't know. It's a very, I guess, basic statement. Oh yeah, uh, science should not be something that does not have stuff like completely unprovable. It should be something that is useful enough to properly prove itself and be capable of be proven by anyone else. He could have said that. Also, I guess the issue of proper philosophical words, even more of the modernity, is how much time they spend on accumulating data of sorts. I think Popper makes the same point with like 4 or 5 different fields. Like, oh yeah, psychology, psychoanalysis, what is it? Com- the Marx conception of socialism, and all of those things are not truly sciences. You can say it shorter. You need to write an entire book, I guess, but at the same time, also they are classics for a reason. So you get to understand a lot more stuff also if you read them. So it's. I'm not saying don't read them. I'm just saying it's a long process. And yeah, at some point I will properly read also more utilitarian people, I guess. My position is wrong, but I admire analytical philosophy and the less so continental philosophy, which mostly seems like poetry to me. This is a safe space to admit that. No, I'm going to fucking find you and I'm going to. Sorry, sorry. So it's. Sorry. Sorry, sorry. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. I understand it. I understand it. I have only recently heard about those concepts, and I was like, wow, truly, truly an astounding separation. It was so useful, but yeah, it's. I also have to partially agree. The more analytical sort is useful. The mythological one, the one that still hides behind the metaphors, I don't like it that much. I guess, for example, I would say I would have loved if somebody like Nietzsche was clearer with his words. Not because I personally don't understand it, but rather because the average person won't lose I don't know, 5 hours of their day trying to think about one fucking paragraph. That doesn't happen. Doesn't happen anywhere. And I think analytical is going out of fashion suddenly. Probably. I mean, I don't know. I guess it in that sense you can make a proper argument with more accurate terms, but I guess stuff like I guess yeah, accelerationism isn't wrong in that sense, and the ways in which are like the how do we call it Althusian dystopy and such are coming to be more real now than ever. All of those things make it so that sadly, in different ways, we lose respect for what is actually accurate, and sadly, once again, the mystical stuff becomes more important, and the more colorful and tasteful and interesting and surprising stuff becomes better, the better seller and such. But at one point, also, supposedly, you still find out that you can find people being bestsellers out there by having literally books just out, anatomy books just out, more, what is it? Uh, methodological, methodologically based psychology of any kind of sort. So yeah, you, you can trust. The general hasn't really given up on all of that. More an objective theory or subjective, I guess the true point supposedly is the objective theory, but so far unavoidably it will always be. No, yeah. I understand that, but I guess you can't really define anything objectively without having to firstly pass through the subjective field. So I guess the most subjectively objective point of view, I guess, that whole that whole realm of even while even if we can't fully agree on all the meanings of everything, we can at some point agree on enough things so that everyone can have a better life unequivocally. So yeah, in that sense, I guess it's a compromise on subjectivity, on a proper place of subjectivity, if to give it a proper classification. But yeah. Uh, Also, I I have to say this. I will take a tiny break. We have an expression here called idle break. Uh, Give me an instant. I have to do something. Let's say, but yeah, we we will be back after these short commercials. I guess I don't know. Me 2 seconds. Thank you. Uh, uh, what? You can't say that. Banned. No. uh, one of those implicit rules or like hidden rules, which nobody knows of until they get brought up. Like, oh yeah, cannot say being here. Now you're getting fucking destroyed. Confirmed? What are you talking about? You didn't hear anything. There is literally no sound. You're assuming stuff. What if I don't know, what if I am dying and I went to fucking puke blood, man? What if what if? You never know. Maybe I am I'm sleeping away from existence and playing out. No, no. You never know. Everything is an allegory, so don't worry. We know what being sounds like. Yeah, but you didn't hear anything. What are you talking about? It's like, oh yeah, yeah. We also know what I don't know radio waves sound like. You still didn't hear anything, man. Don't say it like that. There was no sound input at all. Uh, but yeah, that also I remember saying that before. It serves as a sort of meditation instant. Though that one in which out of nowhere there is no happenstance at all. Wow. Wow. It should have a bright red blinking text that says meditate now. That pause screen, I guess, I don't know. Like subliminal? No, it isn't really subliminal. But yeah. Anyway. Toilets that instruct you on how to meditate. That's a good idea, probably. Not not really in terms of the toilet itself, but stuff inside of things like bathrooms. What's the proper concept? Less holding the fucking phone and being for like an hour sitting there, even after you are already done. More, remember to take your 5 meditation minutes. But also, I mean, I can also argue against that. The ambient is not a good one. The odors and all of that stuff is like incredibly disgusting, you know? So, to some degree, I understand why some people can't reach, I don't know, the nirvana by meditating in their bathroom, if you get what I mean. It doesn't happen. It's a more complicated environment. I guess, I don't know, it would be easier to say, yeah, you should meditate when you are going to sleep. For example, let's think about it like this. Things like the Pokemon sleep app are better for slowly introducing meditation into people's life rather than anything else. Like, I don't know. The first evolution was they introduced Pokemon Sleep. Next one is Pokemon Meditate or Pokemon Breathe. And now you have to wear a wristband that controls your pulse, stuff like that. Wow, they should hire me. Yeah. what? When do you actually meditate? I find it so off to think any specific time is better than another. Off to think what? When? As in personally, or like at which point is it a good action to do? I guess no. Personally, I guess yeah. During physical exercise, I guess is where I find yeah. I find myself doing the most meditation in all of those physical moments in which out of nowhere I am doing things myself and in which I am uh, in in the mindfulness of the action. That is when I meditate the most. When I can tell you, instead of I don't know going mentally at the normal speed of 1x, I end up probably thinking at like 3x or such because I don't have to worry about what I am physically doing in terms of exercise. I already know the routine and all of that, so I just need to pay minimal attention. Then everything else becomes meditation. But I don't know. I don't. Yeah, I am quite I cannot really say. I think neurodivergent is an insulting word for somebody who actually might be, but I also flow in that sense in many other cases. Even when I am just playing a game, yeah, I try to play stuff that don't really take me that much attention. I just do it to have my hands busy. I I do it to keep myself mentally free and be capable of thinking about more stuff. It's like, in my case, I learned to integrate the flow state into everything else, and from there, the meditation happens, I guess. Um, During a house fire is probably a bad idea, so there seems to be at least some sort of optimal moment. Might be extrapolating. No, yeah, yeah. No, I guess even in moments of stress, I find it useful to do so, unavoidably because also of the calming consequences of such a thing. Like, oh yeah, yeah, you get to properly calm yourself down, paying attention to what you're doing, and be capable of getting to act all that interception stuff and whatnot. So yeah, all of those things are useful and similar, but otherwise, I guess a proper answer would be I actually meditate when I finally sit down and I remember that I should be trying to do so. Like for example, I, I I don't know. Is it a proper thing to say? Once again, it depends a lot on the sort of qualification of okay, this is proper meditation, this is not meditation compared to these standards. But I will even classify stuff like this to be in connection to some sort of meditation to oh yeah, I am literally just going to sit down and think about this stuff. I am not here, for example, regurgitating anything else that I have already written. I have to think about what I am going to say, and that in itself constitutes an act of meditating on words to some degree. So maybe based on the semantics, this is, maybe not. Maybe it is a stretch, too much of a stretch. Do you think you need to acknowledge the moment is a good moment to meditate, or would that be a bad principle? No, no, no. I think unavoidably it is that conscious switch of okay, now I need to be capable of doing it. I need to have this, or I can do it. Let's say it's more of a enabler of possibility to have that in that sense of I can finally start doing it once I realize that it is there. It's like I don't know. The door is always open, I guess. I can say it like this. In most cases, most people already possess enough ways to find themselves meditating, but they are not conscious of how it can happen in almost any kind of a scenario. What I was trying to say before with this thing of, yeah, actually, you get to, I don't know, you can enter a flow state of sorts, even in driving. While you are driving to your work or such, you enter into a flow state. That can already be a moment to meditate. You just need to be capable of realizing that it can happen, and you just need to also be capable of pursuing that if it is something that you are willing to do. Otherwise, it will mean nothing to you, and otherwise, it will have no impact. But yeah, the conscious awareness of the thing itself allows you to have it, I guess. So yeah, in that case, it is a requirement. Actually, I'm somewhat conflicted about that exact thing. Do you think flow state is the same thing as meditating? Yeah, yeah. I understand. I get the question mostly because of how it is associated in general. I think you can enter a flow state, and it depends what you are going to do. I don't think somebody who, because that's what I was trying to say before. Nowadays we have even breathing protocols introduced to us as a normal thing to do to regulate ourselves. Many of those people might be capable of entering a flow state with things like I think it is the 6, 7, 8 or 6, no 7, 8, 9, so something like that pattern of uh, breathing technique and such, and all of those things do allow you to properly enter a flow state, but you are not meditating. You're just enabling the most basic, superficial level of, calming yourself down. Because even more, what I was trying to go for, the better example is even military training now introduces stuff that tries to allow the person to reach that flow state more and more. But unavoidably, I don't know. I think the best example always is also the most exaggerated one. A soldier who has a gun in their hand and is trying to kill somebody. I don't think that person is meditating exactly, you know? Eh, They are in a flow state, certainly. They are performing their activity very well. They are not meditating at all, I think so. Um, just to sort of be more precise, sorry. I take a flow state to be even something like staring out the window and only focusing on that. Hmm. Hmm. I don't know. I think, okay, this is more based on biological stuff. There is this explanation of a default mode network. You are in a default mode network when you are not meditating. The point of meditating and entering a flow state is leaving that default mode network. I don't remember exactly what it is called. The other one, I think it is something along the lines of switch network or something like that. But basically, to have the capacity of switching that, that is what I try to say when I say uh, enter a flow state, to finally leave that default mood network that is more of a basic level of thinking. That is what I am trying to refer to from a personal perspective. But yeah, I also understand what you say. So yeah, makes sense. Yeah. I should probably search that. Being honest, I should probably search what is the other name of the thing. I don't remember. I remember only one second. Default mode network. I don't remember the other part. Task positive network is the other one. Uh, and engage in a task. Kind of. I think no. This is also not the definition that I was looking. Uh, Meta thinking, like thinking about thinking. Kind of no. I think it's that's okay. The both default mode network and I literally just read the definition. Sorry, I need to check again. And task positive network, both of those are things that happen in your brain once you are actively engaged or not in thinking. And the issue with those definitions is task positive network is activated once you are thinking about any other thing in general. Uh, no, yeah, don't worry. That's also why I'm trying to properly explain, because the issue is once you read about it, you're going to see task positive network is only about you getting to have a basic level of, oh yeah, you're paying attention to something else. You're not just letting your brain ruminate. That's the basic definitions that you're going to find. Once you are working in the default mode network, you're letting your brain ruminate and worry and get overwhelmed by negative stuffs and all of those if scenarios and such. That's why, for neuroscientists, it's necessary to allow so much of a passage from the default mode network or DMN into the DPN. The point is to allow the person to switch from that first mental place that causes so much anguish into a more focused one that doesn't let you have so many consequences from something that can be avoidable. The proposition itself is a more basic one instead of the whole neuroscience field, because once again they try to be incredibly structural and they cannot make the statement itself of directly, yeah, we need to have people understanding that no more default mode network. Everyone should always be, as much as they can, engaged in any kind of task positive network. And also, there is no proper discrimination between just any kind of task between that inside of that field or within that field. There is no proper discrimination between, oh yeah, I am talking about actually this stuff that lets me, I don't know, understand the whole world. And oh yeah, I am literally playing football. Wow. I'm trying to turn a sort of complicated exercise into something like a one sentence thing. Maybe I'm too naive there. Exactly like what? It depends what you're trying to abbreviate. Unavoidably, there are some things that are impossible to abbreviate. There are some others that are not as impossible. Depends on what you are worrying over, I guess. But yeah, it's understandable, anyways. It's we already talked about it. It's better when philosophy, science, and all of that stuff can be like that. It's better. More concise definitions are better. As long as the words are not cloudy, we fucking love conciseness here. You can go into a flow state if instead of thinking, think about thinking. If that was true, then that would be very neat and concise. I, yeah, I mean, I guess in that sense, if you want to try and create a proper one sentence explanation is what you used before meta thinking, because you need to only think out the process in which you are thinking. The expanded definition is in you need to understand that you need to think about, not criticize or harshly attack what you're thinking about. You only need to be capable of sitting with the way in which you think about the stuff and observe how you are placing it in your mind, not to make any moral judgment about the way in which you think, just to be capable of observing it. The issue is once at least from a personal perspective, what I find when people say, oh yeah, you need to think about thinking, many people fall under the error or the mistake of, oh yeah, I can think out thinking, therefore I get to have access to self-critique about anything that I'm thinking about, because that might not be useful. No, that's what not I tried to say. That wasn't my point. You are changing the point if you say, oh yeah, I can now treat myself harshly because of that. No, you don't. Question which I need to think about. I think maybe even the most complicated ideas in history can be explicated in one sentence. I'm not all sure that's true. I need to think about it. I guess so. I wouldn't be capable of saying. I mean, unavoidably, if you consider anything that goes inside or until a full stop appears, perhaps. But if you can't have any comma, I don't think so. But that's more of a linguistics issue, I guess. Based on what language itself seems to be right now, and what is it? Stuff like academies and such. You probably can completely abbreviate thousands and thousands of concepts. You can do that, but you're also forgetting that it needs to be understandable by everyone, I guess. If you just want conciseness, unavoidably, I don't know, the average person, that whole idea of the average person doesn't have more than a 10,000 word big lexicon inside of them. That whole thing, you cannot have 3 million words to define everything. Yeah. Sadly, that you can do it, and everything can make sense for you. Now, can everyone else understand your sentences? Perhaps not. But yeah, um, I don't know. That's the first point, I guess. But also, I don't know. I I should be a responsible human being. I should, talking so much about meditation and whatnot. I should probably meditate on fucking resting like a normal animal instead of, I don't know. It's such a complicated thing. I think personally, let me just say this. I think the whole placebo effect and whatnot also play a huge role in our lives. That's also why very early in the conversation I tried to talk about the importance of meditation from the placebo effect side. I don't know. I'm pretty sure most of it also is due to how we can associate it to something positive, so it becomes a positive loop feedback in which we get to gain more because we do it more and whatnot. The I guess the world as a representation as we and will and such. Uh, but yeah, it's once again the other point was, and I should rest like a normal human being. So yeah, I guess I will read out before it's even later. Uh, I don't know what was I doing earlier. I should have been earlier here today. Sorry for that on my end. I I was hearing something. Ah, yeah, I was hearing. Ah, I think it's my fucking channel. I can say whatever I want. This guy Wendigo, he made a new video on the Three Christs. What a fucking good video. In a long time, he didn't upload one of those. So I thumbs up, I guess. Ah, other stuff? No. It's not that. It's more along the lines of uh, how I can be earlier here. I just need to actually remind myself that I need to do it's more like, in that sense, I procrastinate way too much. That's also a good reason. I was, for example, I think I finished watching. No, not finished. It's like 3 hours long. Possible to watch in one sitting, but I was doing something else before the video, and after I finished it, I went back and kept playing this fucking other thing. This what is it? The I was going to say Wordle. It isn't Wordle. The new thing that has the whole map of the world in a pixel art canvas. That thing, and it was so funny. And I said, "Oh wow, yeah. Let me just one more pixel. Let me place a pixel. Let me place a pixel." There's a new Wordle. No, I'm not saying Wordle. I don't remember the name. It's not Wordle. It's the other thing, the one in which you place pixels in a canvas. Probably there is a new Wordle. Also, I assume I guess. I don't know at which time it restarts, but I don't know the name. I don't know the name of many things. Excuse me. I have an names aphasia. No, I am just forgetful. But anyway, yeah. No, yeah. Yes. If, yeah, before or while I try to set up and such raid and whatnot, questions? Any questions? Question mark? Can I take a wild guess? Where you are from? Yeah, you can. I mean, I'm pretty sure in the description somewhere it says. Does it not say I am a fucking failure? I didn't include that anywhere. I'm incredible. Argentina, yeah, very good. Yeah. I'm from Argentina. I thought I don't worry. Sorry. I didn't mean it in that way. I didn't mean it in that way. I was just like, wow, I truly didn't tell it. Do people truly have to guess? it should be more obvious. I don't even have the ESL tag. I think today I forgot about it. That's my bad. But yeah, I am sadly it's nothing to be sad about. But yeah, I am Argentinian. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, Daniel, for your not scouty, but pointing out my nature. Denmark, so it's not something I usually use. Very good. Very good, I guess. I don't know. I hope it's colder there than here. I fucking hate it here. In terms of heat. So yeah. Also, Denmark is supposed to be colder, right? Yeah. As far as I remember, I think so. Yeah. So very very good place. Thumbs up. I guess. I don't know. Can you truly say thumbs down to somebody? Can't that be like incredibly controversial? Like, oh yeah, you live in a place in which it's dangerous. Thumbs down. Can you say that? Probably not. That's like socially incorrect, right? You cannot say that, right? Ah, extreme heat, so it should be on. Very good. 29. 29, 29, and you're saying, oh yeah, extreme heat. You're a crybaby, brother. I, I'm sorry, but it makes sense, anyways. Yeah, yeah. I know you aren't like a very hot country, so it makes sense. But very good. It's still colder than here, so yeah. How to sleep in my car while it hit when it hit? Why the fuck do you sleep in your car? Isn't that like incredibly dangerous and advised to not be performed by anyone? Uh, I guess I don't know. I wouldn't say good job. That's like as far as I understand a bad action, but you survived, so that's good. That's the good thing. But I don't know. Try. I guess maybe internet has too much of an obsession with things that could go wrong. Like, oh yeah, you're sleeping inside your car. You're going to boil alive. No, brother, calm down. It's more like, oh yeah, you are sleeping inside your car. Even if it has an air conditioner, it supposedly is a lot faultier than what normally any car gets to be in terms of all of that. So watch out, I guess. Also, where the hell is the part in which I can see people live here? I am. No, sorry. I didn't mean that. I didn't mean that. I didn't mean that. I'm a liar. I don't know. I love this. Do I love it? Question mark. Hmm. Anyway, I found somebody. That's the whole point. I found somebody. Also, Daya doesn't have CH anymore at the end of his name. What the fuck is going on? Where are we going with all of this? What's happening in the world? Ah, anyway, yeah. Let me properly set this up. Sorry for taking like incredibly long. My bad. Um, but we get accustomed to functioning like that. I guess I don't know. That's just how we are. Sorry. Sorry? No, that's the human nature, anyways. Don't worry. Don't worry. Anyway, the point itself is that now we are done. So, anyways, as always, thanks for everything. I guess it has been a pleasure. Not that I guess I have to probably say thanks for everything. It has been a wonderful day, a wonderful evening, a wonderful night to be here to get to talk out so many things. It's nice. So yeah, thanks. Um, have a good rest, a good rest of the day, I don't know, meditate, drink water, hydrate, all of that stuff. Be a normal human being, a proper human being, be a responsible human being, do things, do nice things, most surely. And yeah, next time we're going to see ourselves in another adventure. Wow. I don't know when, I don't know I'm doing what, but yeah, something somewhere, somehow, by some reason. Until then, have a good one. Thank you for paying attention. Any of this doesn't matter if no one else pays attention. That's the truth of it. So thanks to you for being there. Now, good night. Now you're with Daya, who is doing karaoke, I think so. So yeah, now chill. Ah, you're a smart guy? No, I'm not. don't you shouldn't rub people's ego. That's a dangerous thing to do. That's a dangerous thing to do. The comfort leads to dissatisfaction and underperformance.